If you are a Toronto Blue Jays fan, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now because what happened in Clearwater, Florida this past Saturday has the entire baseball world buzzing, the pitching coaches of every American League East rival reaching for antacids, and one very particular 41-year-old man with mismatched eyes and an absolute maniac's will to win quietly, calmly, and completely terrifyingly reminding everyone on the planet exactly who he is. Max Scherzer, Mad Max, the 3-time Cy Young Award winner, the 2-time World Series champion, the future first-ballot Hall of Famer, the man who famously pitched through everything his body has thrown at him for nearly 2 decades, walked out to the mound for his very first spring training start of 2026 and absolutely dominated the Philadelphia Phillies with 4 no-hit innings of scoreless baseball. And he did it at 41 years old on a $3 million contract for a team that lost the World Series in 11 agonizing innings just 4 months ago. This is not a drill. Mad Max is back. And Blue Jays Nation, the unfinished business is about to get finished. Like and subscribe right now before we go any further, because you are going to want to be here for every single update between now and what is shaping up to be the most loaded, most terrifying, most flat-out ridiculous Blue Jays rotation in living memory. Smash that button. Hit the bell. Tell your friends. And let's get into it. Let's start with the numbers, because the numbers are almost impossible to believe. On Saturday, March 7, 2026, in a 1-0 Toronto victory over the Phillies in Clearwater, Max Scherzer threw 40 pitches, 29 of them strikes, over 4 complete innings. 0 hits. 0 earned runs. 1 walk. 1 strikeout. And then the number that made every Blue Jays fan's jaw hit the floor, his fastball averaged 94.0 miles per hour on the day and touched 95.8. Let that register for a moment. This is a man who turns 42 in July. This is a pitcher who spent most of 2025 battling through a thumb injury that crushed his regular season, limited him to 17 starts, and produced a very un-Scherzer-like 5.19 ERA. This is a guy who did not officially sign his 2026 contract with Toronto until February 26, meaning he came to camp late, meaning there were serious questions about when he would even be ready to pitch in game action. And yet on Saturday, he sat 94 to 96 miles per hour in the first inning, averaged 93.9 for the entire outing, and cruised through 4 innings like a man a decade younger than his birth certificate claims. A year ago, on March 8, 2025, Scherzer averaged 92.5 miles per hour in a spring training start. That's a full tick and a half of velocity added year over year, at 41 years old. You cannot make this up. You genuinely cannot. Scherzer himself spoke about it after the game, and the words he used are going to live rent-free in every Blue Jays fan's head all season long. He said that in his live batting practices leading into the start, he was sitting 91 to 94 miles per hour. He called the jump to 93 to 96 in the game a natural uptick that comes with the adrenaline of live competition. He said his arm felt good, that he felt strong all the way through the 4th inning from a velocity standpoint, and he used the phrase that every single person watching needed to hear most of all when it came to that infamous thumb that derailed his 2025 regular season. He said, and these are his exact words, his thumb is fine. He can manage it. It allows his thumb to be normal. He can pitch normal. He can pitch normal. Those 3 words might be the most important 3 words any Toronto Blue Jays pitcher has spoken since the World Series ended. Because normal for Max Scherzer, even at 41, even in the twilight of a career that will be discussed forever, is still something that makes hitters uncomfortable, managers nervous, and opposing lineups genuinely uneasy. John Schneider, who has been around this game long enough to know the difference between a guy who looks good and a guy who actually is good, went even further in his assessment. He said that after Scherzer's very first side session of spring, pitching coach Pete Walker and he were both, and he used the word specifically, pleasantly surprised. Surprised by the locations. Surprised by the velocity. Surprised by the shape of the breaking ball. And then he said the thing that crystallized everything, it is ahead of where it was last year at this time. Ahead of where it was last year at this time. A 41-year-old pitcher who is ahead of where he was at the same point a year ago. That is a sentence that should not be possible in baseball, and yet here we are, and here Max Scherzer is, grinning that terrifyingly intense grin of his, making the impossible look routine. Now let's put this performance in the context of who Max Scherzer actually is, because some of the younger Blue Jays fans out there might not fully grasp the magnitude of the legend that is wearing that Blue Jay bird on his chest right now. Scherzer is an 8-time All-Star. He is a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, 2013 in the American League with Detroit, 2016 and 2017 back-to-back in the National League with Washington. He is one of only 11 pitchers in baseball history to win 3 Cy Youngs. He has pitched 2 no-hitters. He is a 2-time World Series champion, winning with the Washington Nationals in 2019 and with the Texas Rangers in 2023. He is 11th all-time on the career strikeouts list with 3,489 punchouts, just 20 shy of Hall of Famer Walter Johnson at 3,509, and in a healthy 2026 season, he is likely to climb as high as 8th all-time. He has a career ERA of 3.22 across 221 wins and nearly 3,000 innings pitched. And by JAWS, the advanced metric most used to evaluate Hall of Fame worthiness, Scherzer is already above the average Hall of Fame starter, ranked 27th all-time among pitching candidates, ahead of absolute legends like Nolan Ryan and Roy Halladay. This man is not a reclamation project. This man is not a sentimental gamble. This man is a living, breathing, seething, competitive, absolutely unhinged baseball monument who happens to want one more ring, and right now he is wearing a Blue Jays uniform and his thumb feels perfectly fine. The postseason version of this man, the version that shows up when the calendar turns to October and the whole world is watching, is something truly special. In 33 career playoff games, Scherzer has posted a 3.78 ERA across 157 innings with 182 strikeouts. He does not shrink under the lights. He grows under them. You saw it last October. In Game 4 of the ALCS against the Seattle Mariners, when Scherzer picked off a base runner, yelled at his own manager from the mound while gesturing to stay in the game, and then proceeded to record 2 more outs and earn the win in an 8-2 Blue Jays victory that evened the series. John Schneider said afterward, "He lives for this." You have to respect that and appreciate that. That is why he is going to the Hall of Fame. And then in Game 7 of the World Series against the Dodgers, Scherzer went out there and threw 4 1/3 innings, allowed just 1 run, and exited to a standing ovation at Rogers Center with the Blue Jays holding a lead that, heartbreakingly, the bullpen could not protect. Scherzer could not have done more. He gave everything he had on the biggest stage there is. And he came back to Toronto in 2026 specifically because that ending was not acceptable to him. There is unfinished business. There always is with Mad Max. Now here is where the conversation gets genuinely fascinating, and it is the conversation that is consuming the Blue Jays universe right now. What exactly do you do with Max Scherzer in a rotation that is already one of the deepest in all of baseball? Because this is a truly magnificent problem to have, but it is absolutely a problem. Here is what the Blue Jays are currently working with on the starting pitching front. You have Dylan Cease, the ace, who signed a 7-year, $210 million contract this offseason and brings one of the nastiest slider-fastball combinations in the game. You have Kevin Gausman, the crafty splitter dealer who is likely starting opening day on March 27th against the Oakland Athletics. You have Jose Berrios, who pitched through a biceps tendon injury all of 2025 and is reportedly healthy and looking strong, with more innings pitched this spring than any other Blue Jays starter by a wide margin. You have Trey Yesavage, the 22-year-old phenomenon, the Cy Young favorite, the man who struck out 12 batters in a single World Series game and who the organization is carefully and deliberately managing to protect for a decade of dominance to come. You have Cody Ponce, the KBO MVP last season, who has posted a 1.50 ERA across 6 spring innings and whose stuff is being described as electric. And then you have Max Scherzer, who just went out and threw 4 no-hit innings like it was a Tuesday afternoon jog. Shane Bieber is on the injured list with forearm fatigue and will get a late start, which adds even more flexibility to the logjam. This rotation is extraordinary. It is almost comically deep. And John Schneider is going to have to be one of the most creative and flexible pitching managers in baseball to use all of these weapons effectively. So what are the options? The most discussed solution right now involves some combination of a six-man rotation and creative piggyback arrangements. The six-man rotation idea would allow Yesevich to be eased into a full workload gradually while keeping everyone else active and engaged. The piggyback concept, where one starter throws 3 to 4 innings and a second one follows for 3 to 4 more, with the bullpen closing things out, is something the Blue Jays have actually experimented with in recent seasons and have the personnel to execute. Imagine Scherzer going 3 dominant innings, turning it over to Cody Ponce for 3 or 4 more, and then handing the ball to one of the best bullpens in the American League. That is a genuinely terrifying proposition for opposing hitters. Or imagine Yesevich going 4 innings at his carefully managed pitch count, and then Scherzer taking the ball and going 4 more. 2 future Hall of Famers, one already there, one on his way, sharing a single start. That is the kind of storyline that makes baseball beautiful. The realistic expectation for Scherzer in 2026 is somewhere between 14 and 18 starts if he can stay healthy. Over the last 2 seasons, he pitched 43 innings with Texas in 2024 and 85 innings across 17 starts with Toronto in 2025. The trajectory is upward. The thumb is resolved. And for a team that needs to conserve his arm while also maximizing his competitive fire, something in the neighborhood of 16 starts looks like the sweet spot. If Scherzer, when healthy and fully operational, can pitch to a 3.50 ERA in those 16 starts, which is entirely within reason for a thumb-free Mad Max, that is an enormous addition to a rotation that was already going to be historically good. Think about what this means for the Blue Jays' depth heading into October. If Scherzer is healthy at playoff time, John Schneider can go to him in a must-win situation without a second thought. He did it last October when Scherzer had not pitched particularly well in the regular season, and Scherzer delivered anyway. Now imagine a Scherzer who has been healthy all year, who has built his arm back up to full strength, who is carrying the memory of Game 7 with him every single time he takes the ball. That is a different animal altogether. There is one more layer to this story that deserves to be told, because it says everything about why this man has lasted 19 major league seasons and is still making hitters look silly in Clearwater in March. When Scherzer signed his 2026 deal with Toronto for $3 million guaranteed, a far cry from the $15.5 million he made in 2025 and an even further cry from the $43 million per year he was commanding at the peak of his career, he could have signed anywhere. He had options. Teams were interested. But he chose Toronto. He chose the team that is still chasing a championship. He chose the city that came within 1 win of a 33-year drought finally ending. And then his 8-year-old daughter apparently wrote an actual letter to the Blue Jays organization, urging them to bring her dad back, saying she was sorry they did not win the World Series. If that does not melt your heart and hype you up simultaneously, nothing will. Scherzer did not come back for the money. He came back because he refuses to retire with that Game 7 loss being the last chapter of his story. When it comes to the Hall of Fame conversation, and make no mistake, this is already a resolved conversation, the only question is when the plaque goes up, Scherzer is already above the average standard for enshrined starters by every metric available. He is ahead of Nolan Ryan and Roy Halladay in Jaws. He has 3 Cy Young Awards, 2 World Series rings, 8 All-Star selections, 2 no-hitters, 221 wins, and nearly 3,500 strikeouts. He already sits 11th all-time in career punch-outs and should crack the top 8 this season. He is a lock, a certainty, an absolute slam dunk. And the remarkable thing is that he is still adding to that resume in real time, still making starts that matter, still bearing down on hitters with those mismatched eyes burning with competitive fury, still refusing to acknowledge that age is something that applies to him. His next spring start is already scheduled for this coming Saturday against the Detroit Tigers. Every Blue Jays fan should be watching. This spring debut was more than just a good outing in a meaningless March game. It was a declaration. It was a statement. It was Max Scherzer telling the entire baseball world, "I am back, I am healthy, I am ready, and the Toronto Blue Jays are coming for that championship." The only start that matters is the last one, and he has not made it yet. He left Rogers Center last November to a standing ovation, holding a lead that was ultimately lost. He came back to Toronto for one reason. And on a beautiful 85-degree afternoon in Clearwater, Florida, he started the work of making sure things end differently this time. Blue Jays Nation, this is going to be one of the most exciting seasons in franchise history. The rotation is historic. The lineup is terrifying. The hunger in that clubhouse is real. And Mad Max is throwing 96 miles per hour with a fully healthy thumb and a World Series loss still fresh in his memory. If this team stays healthy, if things come together the way they are currently trending, this could be the year that 1993 is no longer the most recent entry in the championship column. And this spring, on a random Saturday in Clearwater against the Phillies, that journey got a whole lot more believable. Alright, Blue Jays Nation. If you made it to the end of this, you are exactly who this channel was built for, and I love every single one of you for riding with us. Now I want to hear from you in the comments. Does this Max Scherzer performance change your expectations for the Blue Jays in 2026? How many starts do you think he makes this season? And do you think he's the guy who finally puts this team over the top in October? Drop everything down below, let's get the debate going, because this is a conversation that deserves to happen at full volume. And while you are down there leaving your hot take, do me one quick favor and absolutely demolish that like button. It takes 1 second, it means the world to this channel, and it helps us reach more Blue Jays fans who need to know what Mad Max just did in Clearwater. If you have not subscribed yet, hit that button right now and ring the bell so you never miss a single Blue Jays breakdown between now and opening day on March 27th. We are 3 weeks away from the 2026 season, folks. Max Scherzer is throwing 96 miles per hour. The Blue Jays are hungry. And we are just getting started. Go Jays go!